Ah, yes, California. Beaches, tech companies, traffic, and some of the strictest gun laws.
California already has the strictest gun laws in the nation.
California has some of the strongest common sense gun laws.
And this did not just happen overnight. Over the past century, court cases, political movements, assassinations, and even big groups like the Black Panther Party played a role in shaping what the Second Amendment looks like in California today. The Second Amendment. What is it? Why was it originally created? How has its meaning changed since the 1700s? And how has California become the main battleground for debates and court cases? California's history shows how the meaning of the Second Amendment has changed over time through political conflict, social movements, court decisions, and public safety concerns. The Constitution of the United States was written in 1787 to replace the weak Articles of Confederation. Along with this, the Bill of Rights was made to make sure that individual freedoms remain protected while this government was being formed. This was said to be in response to the Anti-Federalists, which was a group of people that opposed the ratification of the 1787 U.S. Constitution, who were in fear of losing their personal liberties. So off the bat, the Bill of Rights is leaning towards ideas of freedom for citizens and restrictions towards the government. The end goal of these documents were the same: balance, power, and liberty. These documents were mostly inclusive of only white male property owners, and women were not given any political rights. Enslaved people were counted as 3/5 of a person for politics and were given no freedom. Native Americans were not even considered part of this. A well-regulated
Militia.
being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, so what does this really mean?
Militia.
Security bears arms? Well, back then, America just fought the Revolutionary War against Great Britain. So, a lot of people were distrusting in a centralized government power, and they feared a strong centralized government power could eventually become tyrannical. Because of this,
Militia.
is made up of ordinary people, just like my Uncle Reuben, and they were seen as extremely important. Onto the Second Amendment part, right? The right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This was written somewhat vague, and it is what has sparked controversy for centuries. Arguments whether or not this was applied just to the
Militia.
or to who. Okay, cool. We know about the Second Amendment. We know what it said. So when did this become California's business? Let's go back now to 1848. The gold rush sparked Western expansion. Imagine the wild, wild West with cowboys, outlaws, tumbleweeds. During the gold rush, guns became heavily associated with ideas like independence, self-defense. Although many old Western towns had surprisingly strict gun regulations, with some areas even requiring firearms to be turned in when entering town. Believe it or not, one of the biggest events to happen in California gun law history was because of the Black Panthers during the 1960s.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general, and the black people in particular, to take careful note of the racist California legislature, which is now considering legislation aimed at keeping the black people disarmed and powerless. At the very same time, racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of black people.
The Black Panther Party would openly carry, which was completely legal at this time, while monitoring police interactions in Oakland. Their argument was that they were exercising their constitutional right as an American and were protecting black communities from police brutality. That's valid, right? Well, others disagreed.
when there is absolutely no reason why out on the street today a civilian should be carrying a loaded weapon.
Said Ronald Reagan in 1967. Gun restrictions began getting proposed by the local state. And what better way to stop a state law from being passed than raiding the state capital of Sacramento? This was a groundbreaking event, and it left the entire country speechless, gaining massive media attention. Newspaper coverage from 1967 showed how much public fear surrounded the armed Black Panther protests. In return, California passed the Mulford Act, which banned the public carrying of loaded firearms, which is considered in today's term open carry, and this has not been allowed since. This was a special moment showing how the Second Amendment was not only about protection, but now it's about politics, it's about race, it's about fear, and it's about power.
It was in session.
You can't touch guns, the Second Amendment. Well, the Second Amendment relates and speaks of a well-regulated militia. It doesn't talk about a ragtail tin soldier army of cannon collectors who are, most of them, disturbed people anyway.
So as time went on, the laws passing in California kept getting stricter, especially after mass
These
shootings.
back-to-back mass shootings
Learning
are
more tonight about 3 shootings in California that have happened in only a matter of
The
days.
fatal Minneapolis shooting of Alex Preddy involving...
Soon, the state-induced waiting periods, background checks, magazine capacity limits, and assault weapon restrictions. At the same time, major Supreme Court cases began redefining the Second Amendment nationally. For example, the 2008 Supreme Court case, District of Columbia v. Heller. The Second Amendment protects an individual's right to possess a firearm, said the District of Columbia v. Heller, 2008. In 2022, Supreme Court case, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin, expanded the protections for carrying firearms in public. These debates show how different parts of the government influence the Second Amendment today. For example, we have the legislative branch out here creating restrictions while the judicial branch is out here deciding, should we make these laws? Are they constitutional or not? Because of this power dynamic, the Second Amendment's meaning changes very often through these court decisions. And these cases have forced California to retrace their own laws in some instances. California has had never-ending legal battles over magazine bans, assault weapon laws where they continuously redefine what makes something an assault weapon, and heavy restrictions on concealed carrying permits. So that is how the meaning of the Second Amendment was morphed over public fear, activism, and court decisions. How what was originally written in 1791 in fear of a tyrannical government taking over again has changed due to technology, society, and politics. The Second Amendment was written over 200 years ago, but its interpretation is still being argued to this day. This demonstrates how the Constitution acts as a living document. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you feel inspired to, I don't know, to make use of your concept. All right, good night, everybody.